lead in the area of ideas, because the most precious commodity in life is not money, it's not time, it's ideas. This afternoon, if I have a chance, I'm going to talk to you about how to generate more ideas. Well, I'll do it right. Let me do it here. Here's the way this works. To have a great thought, you have to have a lot of good thoughts. Great thoughts aren't born in a vacuum. Great thoughts are a result of several good thoughts. It takes a lot of good thoughts to come up with one great thought. So the formation, the building of a good idea, or the building of a great idea or a great thought, is based upon your ability to have a team that is giving you a lot of good thoughts. So what you need to do as a leader is you need to begin to be what I call an idea generator. That's what I am. I'm an idea generator. I'm a thought generator. So I sit down with my team all the time, and I share with them something I'm thinking about, and then I ask them, I say, okay, think about it for a moment and help me make it better. And we'll spend a couple of hours, and they make it better. And I have constantly done that. For example, the last 10 books I've written, I've only chosen the title of one of them. Now, I chose the title for all of them. But when I took it to my thinking team, I'd say, here's the book I'm writing right now, and here's the title I think. They always tell me the same thing. They say, oh, that's good. And then they start talking. And they start bubbling up good ideas until they give me a better idea back than what I gave them. And see, it doesn't matter to me. You see, the best idea always wins. Don't make the mistake because you own a company or because you're the leader, you think everything ought to be yours. Can I tell you something? If every thought is yours, every idea is yours, every initiative is yours, can I tell you something? You have a lousy team around you. Outside of having a worthless team and being ineffective, there's no problem with your life. So it's no compliment when I'm the guy that always thinks the ideas. Can I tell you, in fact, somebody says, well, how do I know I have a bad team? I tell you how you know you have a bad team. You get your team together and you throw out an idea and they don't make it any better. Can I tell you something? If I've got a team that's not making me better, I don't need that team. I need to go make me a new team. I got to need to find a team. Because when I throw out the ideas, now here's how this works. What's your name? Yeah. Michelle? Hi, my name's John. I'm your friend. Now, here's the way this works, Michelle. Are you ready? Let's say I have a good idea, and let's say you have a different good idea, okay? But, Michelle, I don't share my good idea with you, and you don't share your good idea with me. In other words, you keep your good idea to yourself. I keep my good idea to myself. Now, here's the question, Michelle. If I don't give you my good idea, and you don't give me your good idea, how many good ideas do you have, Michelle? One. That's exactly. It's not a trick question. That's right. It's just one. That's good. I looked at the whole front row and I felt you would be the strongest in math. Okay. That's good, Michelle. You're doing good. Now let's go again. Let's go ahead. Remember, my name's John. I'm your friend. Michelle, now I have a good idea and you have a good idea, but this time you sit down and say, John, here's my idea, and you share it with me. And I say, oh, I like that. And then I say, well, Michelle, I've got an idea, and I share my idea with you. Now, you shared your idea with me, I shared my idea with you. Now, Michelle, how many good ideas do you have? 2. Oh, you are so quick. See, the guy on your left, he's going, he is. He's not either. Now, Michelle, you just doubled your ideas, not because you got better. You just doubled your ideas because you included me, and I included you. That's why I say teamwork makes the dream work. But, Michelle, it really is 2, but it can be more than 2. Because when you share with me your good idea, and I share with you my good idea, a lot of times out of 2 good ideas comes an entirely different idea. Isn't that true? It's called synergy. And what happens is, if we all start sharing good ideas, we get 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 or 12 good ideas, and out of that, all of a sudden comes a great idea, because all of a sudden you start linking this good idea with this good idea and pulling this one in here, and you start lining up about 4 or 5 good ideas, and all of a sudden you've got a great idea. Now, did you just become smart? No. You understood the value of developing a team and getting their input and sharing your input and working together, because, again, teamwork makes the dream work. So when I'm looking for a leader, I go to Michelle. because she has good ideas. And I say, okay, if they inspire me and they lift morale, if they inform me and tell me things I need to know, and if they have ideas so they make my thinking better than it is, the fourth I, some of you were worried. You thought I forgot my lecture, didn't you? You said, oh, there are two more I's. Oh, it's about lunchtime, and oh my God, I don't think I can eat my lunch if I don't get those last two I's. You are wonderful. You just are good. You're just good. The fourth I is initiative. When I'm looking for a leader, I'm looking for someone who is self-motivated. Who on the team just does it on their own. I don't have to ask them. I don't have to pump them. I don't have to prod them. I don't have to beg them. I don't have to threaten them. They just have initiative. And the fifth I is increase. Who is it on the team that just makes things better? They just make things better. They have the ability just to increase the entire team. The fourth picture I have of a leader, when I'm looking for a leader, is I ask myself, of my team, who's the biggest influencer? We've already talked about the fact that leadership is influence, so I'm always asking myself, who is the best influencer? Because whoever that influencer is, whoever that person is, they're the person who, what they say, what they do, what their behavior is, they're going to influence the people that are around them. And number five pictures is all I can give you today. The fifth picture of a person that I look to as a leader is I always look for the person, and I ask myself this question: do they possess an uncommon great attitude? Because leadership is tough. And there are going to be a lot of dark days if you're leading. There are going to be a lot of problems. There are going to be a lot of tough issues. And what I look for is a person that in the dark times has a great attitude. They understand that their attitude will determine their altitude. And so therefore, when everyone else is discouraged, they're encouraged. It's not that they're not aware of the issue, but they just have a persistence in their attitude. They just have a positiveness that they just keep on keeping on. They're like my college roommate who one time told me, he said, John, I'm never down. I said, what do you mean you're never down? Everybody's down. He said, I'm never down. He said, I'm either up or getting up. And that's what I'm talking about. Great leaders, when everyone else gives up and they have this incredible great attitude. Now, to develop your leadership team, I shared with you that leaders are hard to find. So I gave you some pictures of what to look like in a leader. Now, for the 21 pictures, if you get the book, The 21 Qualities of a Leader, you're going to get 21 pictures of what a leader looks like. Now, what you do is, when you get all those pictures, you line them up on a paper, and when you're looking for leaders, after a while, you'll have them memorized. You'll say, okay, does that person have this quality? Do they have that quality? Because the more qualities you can find in an individual, the better potential leader you have just picked. Leaders are hard to find. Let me tell you something else about leaders. They're not only hard to find because there are so few of them, they're hard to gather. Once you find a leader, it's hard to get a leader to join your team, and there's a reason for that. It's not that they are hard to get along with. It's leaders aren't looking for jobs. I've never known a leader look for a job. I've never looked for a job in my life. I've got more jobs than I could ever do. I've got more opportunities than I could ever fulfill. Whenever you're a leader, to be honest with you, you're not sitting on the corner saying, boy, I hope somebody finds me. Whew, I'm a great leader. Could I be discovered by somebody today? And when you find a leader, when I mean they're hard together, what happens, you go up to a potential leader and say, I'd like you to join my team. And can I tell you something? They don't just say, oh, Thank God I can join your team. I've been waiting for a team to join. Oh, you're an answer to prayer. No, 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 no. The first thing they say, well, I'd like you to join my team. Leaders are always recruiting. And if you say, well, I want you to join my team, you know what? Leaders, they don't just jump on and say, oh, wonderful, I'm on a team, I'm on a team, I'm on a team. They'll start asking questions. They'll say, where are you going? What you going to do? When are you going to get there? When are you coming back? Can I drive? They're going to want to be in control. That's the very nature of who they are. They ask questions. They're hard to find. They're hard to gather. And let me just say one more thing in closing. They're hard to keep. Why are they hard to keep? Because they have opportunities all the time. They're restless. Leaders are restless by nature. And if you're not moving the team fast enough, they either want to run the team, or they're going to go find another team, or they're going to make their own team. Now, that doesn't make them wrong. That doesn't make them bad. It just makes them who they are. Leaders are unique. And the reason I say that to you is I'm trying to help you again to get a picture so that when you see a potential leader coming toward you, you can immediately recognize them and you can immediately start recruiting them, because there are pictures that will help you know. Just like in the 17 qualities of a team player, those are 17 pictures of what does a team person look like. If you're wanting to develop a good team member, you got to get those pictures of what does a good team person look like. Now, let me ask you a question. Are you learning something? Are you learning something, huh? Okay. How many of you think now you kind of know a little bit more what a leader looks like? You raise your hand. Huh? You look like, okay. Now let me just do me another favor. Just kind of look around you right now, huh? Look around you. Do you see anybody around you that you ought to steal? Huh? See? Okay. It's about 10 minutes to 1, okay? And I'm getting hungry. Are you getting hungry? Okay. Good boy. I major. One of my gifts is lunch. How many of you are morning people? You know what I mean when I'm morning people? You do your best work in the morning. How many of you are morning people? Okay. How many of you are night people? You do your best work at night. How many of you are like me? You're not really good in the morning. You're not really good at night. But you excel at lunch. You just say, that's me. Okay. So I'm going to go to lunch. You're going to go to lunch. Roger, probably at 2 o'clock. It gives them about an hour and 10 minutes. Do you think that's fair? Okay. So our good-looking MC says 2 o'clock. Be back here. Now, here's what I'm going to do. At 1:40, are you with me? I'm going to be sitting right there at that table. And if you've got books, you bring your books together. You buy the stack. I'll sign 2 of your books out of your stack. I'll sign books from 1:45 to 2 o'clock. Go have a good lunch. Take care. Have a good time. Thank you very, very much. You may be seated. Did you have a good lunch? Okay. You ready to learn? Okay. I'm ready to teach also. We've talked about the fact that success is 3 things: knowing my purpose in life, growing to my maximum potential, and sowing seeds that benefit others. We've talked about the fact that people that are successful get along with people. They relate well with others. And we talked about the fact that people that are successful develop teams. They know how to take leaders and develop a leadership team and bring people around them, because teamwork makes the dream work. The third thing that successful people do well deals with the attitude. Successful people have an incredible attitude, especially about adversity and difficulties in life. They do not allow their attitude to control their life. They control their attitude. What they discovered is it's not what happens to me, it's what happens in me that counts. I shared with you earlier that I write 3 books at a time. I just finished, in fact, I literally just finished before I came on this trip, a manuscript of a book, a leadership book that'll come out in January. called The 360-Degree Leader. And it's a book about how to lead from the middle of the pack. In fact, I almost called the book Leading from the Middle of the Pack. In fact, the subtitle was almost Follow Me, I'm Right Behind You. And it's a book about how to lead up, how to lead across, and how to lead down. Another book that I'm writing on this trip while I'm here is a book on attitude. Now, I am a motivational teacher, not a motivational speaker. There's a difference. A motivational speaker makes you feel good, but the next day you're not sure why. You're just going around saying, I feel good. You know what I mean? I feel good. I'm not sure why I feel good, but I feel good. Well, I'm a motivational teacher. I teach principles that the next day you can apply. The stuff that I'm giving you today, you can apply tomorrow to your own business, to your life. Isn't that true? And so I'm a motivational teacher. A motivational speaker will tell you that attitude is everything. In fact, if you hear them speak, they'll say, attitude is everything. If you just have a great attitude, if you can think it, you can have it. If you can believe it, you can dream it and hope. And I'm here to tell you, attitude is not everything. I've known a lot of people who have a great attitude, but they are not successful. For example, attitude will not replace competence. In other words, if you're incompetent and you can't do something very well, you can have the greatest attitude, but you still won't succeed. Are you with me? If I tell you that I want to be a great singer, so I have an attitude, I have a great attitude, I'm going to be a great singer, but I have a poor voice, it's not going to help because I have a good attitude while I'm singing. It isn't going to help me. And so attitude isn't everything, but it is the difference maker. It's the difference maker. Let me explain. I've got Michelle right here. What's your name? Right beside her. Alicia? Did I get that right? Alicia? Okay. So I have Alicia and Michelle, and they're both coming to me, and they're both applying for a job. And as I look at Alicia and I look at Michelle, I mean, their resumes are the same. Their experience is good. They've got a good education. They've got a good track record. Alicia and Michelle, I mean, they look to me like they're just, it looks like I could hire either one of them and be okay because they both seem to be competent. Okay. But there's one difference. Let's say Alicia has a great attitude and Michelle has a bad attitude. Now, if they're equal in everything else and Michelle has a bad attitude and Alicia has a good attitude, who am I going to hire, Alicia or Michelle? Talk to me. I'm going to hire Alicia, aren't I? Because she has a good attitude. You see, let me tell you something. It's the difference maker. All things being equal, your attitude makes the difference. Now, what I've discovered is this. I've discovered that successful people have an incredible attitude. They have a great attitude about life. They have a great attitude about their family. They have a great attitude about what they're doing, their business. They just have a great attitude, especially in the area of difficulties. Anybody can have a good attitude when they're having a good day, but can you have a good attitude when you're having a bad day? That's why I write books. I wrote a book that has been highly successful that I wrote is a book called Failing Forward. I referred to it earlier today. It's a book on how to fail correctly. Because we all fail. I fail, you fail, everybody fails. Huh? Isn't that true? How many of you, I've already asked the question once, I'm going to ask it, how many of you failed at least one time, okay? In fact, look at your neighbor and tell them, say, you're going to mess up. Go ahead and tell them. You're going to mess up. Oh, okay. Come on. Come back here. Some of you are not only telling the person they're going to mess up, you're telling them how they've messed up. Okay. I'm going to mess up. You're going to mess up. We all mess up. Isn't that true, huh? So that's not the issue. The issue is not are you going to mess up. The issue is are you going to fail correctly? I was on one of the main talk shows in the United States on TV, as a talk show called Good Morning America. And I was on Good Morning America. They were interviewing me with the book on failure, on failing forward. And they asked me, they said, John, where did you do the research on this book? And I laughed. I said, it's the only book I've ever written that I didn't have to do any research on. All I did was think of all the stupid things I've done in my life. And I wrote the book. In fact, I remember when I wrote the book, Margaret and I were going on a vacation, and we were going to go see the fjords of Norway. And so about a week before we left on vacation, I found out that it was a 2-week cruise on a ship to see the fjords of Norway. And I said, Margaret, it seems like a long time to see the fjords. Yeah. I mean, can we not go for 2 days and take pictures? But I've been successfully married for 36 years, so we took that 2-week vacation to see the fjords of Norway. But I made a deal with her. We were always making deals, and the deal was that I would go on the vacation for 2 weeks. If while I was on vacation, she'd let me write a book, so at least I could do something profitable while it's on vacation. And she said, sure. She said, you can do that. And so that was no problem. So we got a suite right at the front with all the windows so that when we go down these canyons, these river and water canyons, we could see the fjords of Norway. And so I'd sit up there up front, and I write on a legal pad. I just do handwriting. So I'm writing a book, and I'd say, oh, Margaret, look. There's a fjord. Oh, that's something, isn't it? That's some fjord, isn't it, huh? I'd write some more. Oh, honey, whoop. There's another fjord. Yeah. That fjord looks like that fjord. And I would write my book. At the end of 2 weeks, I finished the book. I'd finished the book. And what I do is when I write, I throw the pages at Margaret, and she reads them, and then she corrects them and makes them like they should be. And so we're going off the ship, and she looked at me. She said, oh, John, she said, I love the Failing Forward book. This is a great book. I said, well, thank you, babe. Thanks a lot. I said, what did you like about it? Oh, she said, what I liked about it is in all the failure lessons that you taught, you just gave personal examples of all the times you've messed up and failed. And she said, I just think it's just wonderful. She said, there's only one problem. I said, what's the problem? She said, you didn't get all of your failure stories in the book. She said, I think you ought to do a series of books on failure. She said, it's your spiritual gift. You ought to do a 101, 201, 301, 401. She said, you've got at least 6 failure books in you. Here's what I've discovered. When you and I fail, we're going to have one of 2 responses. We're either going to learn from the failure, or we're going to leave the failure. In other words, when I fail, when you fail, we're either going to hang around that failure long enough to learn something from it, or we're going to run away from that failure as quick as we can because it embarrasses us, and we're going to leave from it. Here's what I've discovered. If you leave your failure, you'll never learn from your failure. And if you learn from your failure, you'll never have to leave your failure. The reason we leave is because we're embarrassed. When people are embarrassed about anything, they want to get away from it as quickly as they possibly can. I understand that. So what happens is if we fall, if I fall flat on my face, what I do is I very quickly get up and I fasten my coat and I look around and say, nobody saw me, nobody saw me, nobody saw me. And everybody in the room says, did you see John fall flat on his face? In the book on Failing Forward, I teach you 15 ways to fail successfully. One of the things I teach is when you fall down, while you're down there, clean up the floor. You don't get down there every day. I mean, pick up the toys. There's all kinds of things you can do while you're down there. In the States, I don't know if, again, all I can speak is out of my own experience. In the States, we have an expression, and I'll give it to you, and I'll see if you have it in Malaysia. In the States, we have an expression that says, experience is the best teacher. Have you ever heard that? Okay, so do you say it here? You're just like us. And when they'll come, they'll say, well, you know, experience is the best teacher. Experience is the best teacher. Can I tell you something? Experience isn't the best teacher. Never has been, never will be. If experience was the best teacher, then as people got older, they'd get better. And I know a whole lot of people getting older, and they're not getting better. Many times in the States, they'll say things like, well, give them time. They'll mature. They'll mature. Just give them some time. They'll mature. I've given people a lot of time. Some mature, some don't mature. I found out a long time ago, maturity doesn't always come with age. Sometimes age comes alone. Huh? So when somebody says experience is the best teacher, I always go to them and say, no, it's not. Evaluated experience is the best teacher. It's not what we experience, it's how we evaluate it. In other words, we have to look at what we're going through and what has happened to us. We have to look at our failures and say, okay, what do I learn from this? How can this make me better? Now, what I've discovered is people that are highly successful, they have the ability to evaluate experience. They have the ability to evaluate failure. In my book, Thinking for a Change, I talk about 11 thinking skills of successful